All right, so today we're talking about leveraging credit. And I'm sure we've all heard of that term, but the question is not whether we've heard of it. The question is, do we understand it? And do we know what it means? Leveraging credit. Now, leveraging credit is nothing more than a term that means, hey, I'm gonna use the bank's money or I'm gonna use credit in order to make more money, which can be very dangerous, but also can be a very good thing when you know what you're doing. Now, you're going to have different gurus that are going to suggest different things. Like Dave Ramsey, whom I have a whole lot of respect for, he's going to suggest that you not use leverage credit because it can get you in a whole lot of trouble. And most people don't know how to use it. So Dave Ramsey is going to suggest that you get all the way out of debt so that you can take your power back. Take your power back from the creditors that you've given it to when you have gone in and taken out loans, gone in and gotten all of those credit cards. Pay all of that stuff off and take your credit or take your power back is what Dave Ramsey would suggest. Now, there's another guru named Grant Cardone who would actually suggest the exact opposite. He would suggest that you actually use credit, that you leverage credit in order to make more money. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with what Cardone says. As a matter of fact, I think it's a very good philosophy for some people, but not everybody, because leveraging credit can be really dangerous. Again, especially when you don't know what you're doing. So the question is not necessarily, is it a good philosophy or is it a bad philosophy to leverage credit? The question is it good for you? That is the million-dollar question that we have to answer. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about leveraging credit as a freight broker and how, as a freight broker, it's not really a question of whether you're going to leverage credit, because 99% of us are. It's a matter of learning how to do it, doing it in the right way so that it works for you and not against you. So now before we get started, I want to give you a quick reminder to make sure you do all of the good stuff, because sometimes we'll watch a video, but then we'll forget to go back and hit the like, subscribe, and the notification bell. So here's a quick reminder. Make sure you hit that like button. It does a whole lot for my channel. And then hit that subscribe button, as it'll make you a part of my network. And then when you hit that notification bell, you'll be notified every time I release new videos. And if you're interested in learning more about the freight broker business, you're not quite sure about it, you would like to see somebody else actually do the job, then check out my free 5-video series titled How the Load Movement Process Works, link in the description. And then if you're not quite sure what exactly you want to say to shippers when you start making those calls, check out my free video titled What Do I Say to Shippers? Now, without further ado, let's get into the business. Okay, so the title of this video says that you must learn the skill of leveraging credit. Now, when I see a title like that, the first question that comes to my mind is, okay, Brandon, why do I need to learn how to leverage credit as a new freight broker? Why is that important? That's a good question. But leveraging credit is important because let's take a look at this month of February. Let's just say we started moving loads in the month of February, and we're going to move a total of 25 loads. Okay? Now, we have to have a way when March comes to pay for these 25 loads that we moved in February. Because if we have let's say a net 30 term of payment, that means when March gets here, we're going to be required to pay, let's just say we have $53,000 in total in these loads. And when March comes, we have to pay this $53,000. Now the question is, how are you going to pay it? Where is the money going to come from? Do you have $53,000 just lying around that you can afford to pay to your truckers that you owe? Or what is your plan? What exactly is your plan to get that $53,000 paid? Because March is coming and you're definitely going to have to pay it. So how are you going to do it? You said we're a week late on the invoice? Hey man, don't worry about it. We're going to definitely pay you. When we're going to pay you? Hey, I'm not sure just yet, but we're working on it. Now, most of us as new freight brokers, we are going to use what's called a factoring company. all right? Factoring. And the factoring company will come in and say, hey, Brandon, you know what? Don't worry about that $53,000. We're gonna pay that, and you just pay us a fee for doing it. That's a good option, very good option. And it eliminates, your worry of having to be concerned about how you're gonna pay these off in March. It's no longer a concern now because you have a factoring company come in and pay that for you. Now, what if you don't have a factoring company? Well, another option is a business loan. And a business loan is definitely a good idea and may be a better idea than factoring because it's not gonna cost you as much as factoring is gonna cost you. You're gonna have a much better interest rate borrowing money from the bank, even if in short terms, than you would from a factoring company. Now, another option that you can use is a line of credit. And this is a line of credit with a bank. Because that's what we are trying to do. Make sure that we have a way to pay that $53,000 that comes due in March. So you're gonna use one of these three ways. Now, if you use any of these three ways of paying for your invoices, that's basically leveraging credit. Of course, factoring company is leveraging short-term credit, and business line of credit and a business loan is a little bit longer. But either way, you're leveraging credit. So it's important to understand how to leverage credit so you can get the most out of it. All right, so now if leveraging credit is about making money, and it certainly is, then we want to look at the most inexpensive way to actually leverage credit. And we know if we use a factoring company, it is going to cost us more than it would cost to use a business loan or a business line of credit. You're getting these through a bank and you're getting this through a third-party lender. So a factoring company is short-term credit and it's going to cost you more than it would if you go through a bank. So now a factoring company is going to cost you about 2.5%, 2.5% per invoice up to 5%. When I first started using a factoring company, I was paying 5% on every invoice. Now, 5% on every invoice gets expensive, very expensive over the long term. I want you to take a look at this example. Let's just say I had a $3,000 invoice, all right? And I have to pay 5% on that invoice because with a factoring company, I have to pay 5% on every single invoice. We said 3,000, not 2,000. So we're gonna say 3,000 here on that invoice. So if I'm paying 5% on a $3,000 invoice and it keeps putting 2,000 there for some reason, let's see if it'll let me do it this time. Yeah, it's still doing that because of my dollar sign there. So I'll just do it without the dollar sign this time. So 3,000. If I paid 5% on a $3,000 invoice, that's $150 that I'm paying on every single invoice. So if I had 10 invoices at $3,000 on each, or 5% on each invoice, I paid $1,500 just in factoring fees. So that's gonna get expensive. But a factoring company is really the only choice that we have available as a new freight broker, because the business loan and the business line of credit is not in play. And the reason why it's not in play is because we are not what we call credit worthy. We cannot get approval to get a business loan just yet or a business line of credit. Most new businesses, it's going to be tough to get a business loan or business line of credit because you're not making any money yet. The bank doesn't see any income coming into your account, so they have no reason to give you a loan because you're not producing anything yet. So the idea is to start producing, start to make money, and then apply for a line of credit or a business loan, because that is going to give you the best way. When I say the best way, I mean the most inexpensive way to leverage credit. So now one of the things that we want to avoid as business owners is unnecessary risk. And you're definitely going to have risk that comes with leveraging credit. Don't misunderstand that. There's big risks that come with leveraging credit. What is the risk? Well, there's always the risk that your customer won't pay. Customers have problems just like you have problems. Just like your business has problems, your customer's business has problems too. And sometimes they run into situations where they're not able to pay or pay on time. And when that happens, that's going to cause you some problems with the credit that you've leveraged, whether that's from a factoring company, a business loan, or a business line of credit. When the customer doesn't pay, guess who has to pay? You do, of course. So we want to make sure that we decrease our overall risk with using leveraged credit. Now, how do we do that? With factoring, there's a couple of options. When you're getting ready to decide how are you going to use a factoring company, you can use it in two different ways. There's one called Recourse Factoring, which is what I use. I like Recourse Factoring. Recourse Factoring means that if I'm using a factoring company and the customer does not pay that invoice or that customer does not pay it on time, then the factoring company can go and look at me and say, hey, Brandon, your customer didn't pay, you have to pay. That's the type of factoring I use, Recourse Factoring. Non-recourse factoring says that if I have non-recourse factoring and a customer does not pay, I'm supposed to be okay. I'm not supposed to have to pay that invoice because I'm using non-recourse factoring. Non-recourse factoring is going to be more strict. They're going to have more rules when it comes down to getting your customer approved. I don't particularly like non-recourse factoring because even though it says you're not supposed to have to pay if the customer doesn't pay, there's a lot of red tape involved with that, and usually you still have to pay. So I like recourse factoring because of that. But the best part of using a factoring company is the factoring company is going to go in, they're going to check the shipper's credit and make sure that the shipper is credit worthy. So I like using recourse factoring because even though I'm usually going to have to pay the bill if the customer does not pay, my factoring company is going to do a good job of checking that shipper out before they extend any credit to them. If the shipper is good to go, then they'll extend credit to them. If they don't, they won't. That way, you're getting the best credit-worthy customer that you can get. The customer is being checked out extensively before they're being granted credit. That's one way of kind of downsizing some of the risk that comes with leveraged credit. Now, when it comes down to your business loan and your business line of credit, that is going to give you a whole lot more responsibility as the grantor of credit. What do I mean by that? Well, when you have a business loan or business line of credit, now your factoring company is not coming in and saying, hey, we're going to run the shipper's credit and make sure that they're okay, because you don't have a factoring company. Now you are responsible for running that shipper's credit, making sure they are credit worthy. So you're going to have to make sure that every customer that you extend credit to is credit worthy. That's some extra responsibility that's going to come with a business loan or business line of credit for that reason. You're going to have to check each customer out. Now, sometimes we get excited and we say, oh, okay, well, the shipper's credit is not so bad, or I kind of have a good feeling about this shipper. They've been talking a really good game, and I kind of feel comfortable with them. Even though their credit is a little bit shaky, I'm still going to extend credit to them. Now, that's where you can get yourself in trouble, because it's a reason why that shipper has, a bad credit rating or a slow credit rating. So you're going to have to conduct yourself in a more disciplined fashion. Not just saying, hey, I'm going to go out and extend credit because I'm excited and I want to get, a relationship built with this customer, because we don't know what type of customer it is. The credit says it's slow or the credit says it's bad. So we have to go with what the credit says. Don't start making these extra provisions for customers just because you feel good about it. Let the credit determine whether or not you do business with a customer. Because at the end of the day, you could be the one left holding the bag, and that's not what we want. We don't want leveraged credit to blow up all over our faces. All right, so that's what I wanted to share with you today. I certainly hope this information has been helpful. Just remember this going forward. Some businesses are going to require that you learn how to leverage credit, and a freight broker business is one of those businesses. I also want you to remember that the great Oracle of Omaha stated, and I quote, "When you combine ignorance and leverage, you get some pretty interesting results." See you at the top, because the bottom is much too crowded.